Hello everyone and welcome back to Southeast Guitar Repair Academy. Today we're going to be talking about the fret kisser. We've had a couple questions about, how to go about using this thing, how exactly does it work. It's not too crazy, it's not too complicated, but we're going to walk through it real fast. So let's say you've gone through and you have a guitar that's playing great all the way across, but you have one treble fret, and you've gone through, you've tried to tap it down, you've checked it, still causing some problems. It's just not even with everything else. Then it would be time to use the fret kisser. Now, if you come into a situation where you've done a setup and you got some buzzing issues here and there and you have several uneven frets, at that point in time, I would highly recommend going through, seating anything that's uneven, put a little dab of super glue up underneath that fret, hold it in place, make sure that it's going to be nice and solid, and then go through and actually do a full fret dress on this. Now, the fret kisser is just used for that situation where you just run into one, possibly two frets that are a little uneven. So the way to find that, obviously, if you're play testing it, it's going to be a little buzzy. So you're fretting here and you got this fret right here that's buzzing. Say if it's buzzing here, that means this fret right here is a little uneven. So if you're fretted here, it means this fret is actually higher and it's raised up and the string is actually running off of that fret. It's actually buzzing off of that fret, causing the issue. So you can go through and you can check. You want to use your fret rocker first and go through and see that that fret, in fact, is uneven. This is just a practice guitar, that's why it's all kind of in pieces. So we're just using this as an example for everyone so they can see. So you see how that fret is extremely uneven, and so you go through and you check everything else. All the other frets are totally level, no issues or problems anywhere else. This is just your main problem spot right there. So like I said, first thing you want to do is you want to go through and hit it a couple times with your fret setter. Obviously, be sure the neck is secured up on your neck rest. If it's further down, you can put a couple bags down, secure that neck, make sure it's not moving around on you. Just go and just hit it a couple times, come back and check it again with your little fret rocker. You can hear that that is still uneven. You can see how much it moves. So at this point, I would say go ahead and hold this in place. Hit it with your little dab of super glue just to make sure that that fret isn't going to be spongy while you're working on it, that it's going to be nice and solid and seated. And this way also, if you do use the fret kisser on it, that it's not just going to sponge right back up and it's just not going to cause some problems later on down the line. So be sure, even when it is uneven, if you've tapped it with your fret setter, that it's seated as solid as it can be. It cannot go down any further, but it's still sticking up, causing some buzzing issues. At this point, you can come through, hit it with just a dab of super glue, just like you'd be doing a refret. Wipe that out of the way. Hold it in place with your fret setter. Go ahead and hit it with a little accelerator. Give it about 10 seconds holding it there. And then double check, make sure it's not spongy at all, make sure it's not moving on you. And so now you know that you have your fret seated properly. It's not going to get spongy, it's not going to cause any problems even after you've worked on it. Go ahead and double check everything with your fret rocker. There's just a slight little bit of unevenness right on the end there. So you're going to come through with your fret kisser. And if you look at it, all this has is just this little bit of grit down in the center. It's got it on different points because you never know where you're actually going to need it. So these more narrow points are going to be used up further on the fingerboard because you're just going to have these two spots that doesn't have any grit on it running across these frets that you don't need to level, and this one's just going to be kissing the one in the middle that causes problems. So you'd be actually using that up further on the neck. Then you get down a little bit, you might be using this part of it over here because that's just going to span these few frets right here. And then obviously as you go up the neck, you're going to be using a wider spot of the fret kisser. So further down towards the end of the fingerboard, you're going to be using a little more narrow one. You just want this to span 3 frets, 1, 2, 3. That's going to be your treble fret that you're working on. These two are just keeping it level, making sure that whenever you file on it, you're just filing on the one fret that's causing problems, eventually making it level with these 2 frets that are on these nice shiny sides with no grit at all. The grit's just going to be in the middle. So once you get your fret seated and it's nice and solid, it's not spongy at all, you can come through with a fret kisser, find which side of it you're going to be using the best. Obviously, see, that's too short. That one looks good. I'm going to go ahead and use this. So just come through and focus on just using this part of it with the grit just on the treble fret. Like I said, these two spots are just going to glide over these frets that you're not having any issues with. So you're just going to use a fret kisser, hold it nice and level, and come around to this side here. And then you're just going to kiss it. You're just going to come down a little bit. And you can even hear that back and forth that it's given right there. So it's telling me that end of that fret is still causing us problems. It's not level with the other frets. And you can use this anywhere on the fingerboard. Say if you have a problem right here in the middle, you can go through and you can kiss just that treble spot right there. You can do it anywhere on the fingerboard that you really need to use it. This one's really wobbling back and forth right in this area. So just focus on this. Same as you'd be leveling the frets out, you're just leveling an individual fret with the fret kisser. That's all it's designed for. And just keep leveling that out until you don't have any rock in it. Just keep moving back and forth, side to side and forward and backwards. And then once you get it to a point that it's level, you can always check it with your fret rocker again. Make sure there's nothing uneven there. It's not rocking on you anymore. Everything looks solid. And then just go through same as you would crown out any other fret. You just want to use your crowning file and just pay attention to just the spot that you leveled out. You just want to crown on just that one little area right there. You don't want to go through and do the entire fret. You just want to crown back out that spot that you just flattened out. Same, bringing that flat spot into a fine hairline, using your light to see where you've been and where you still need to go. Until you get that line just in the middle. And then just a couple passes to make it disappear. And treat it the exact same way you would do a fret dress. Come through, say 400 and 600. And count your passes the same as you normally would. Come through with your steel wool, polish it back up, and bam. You can always go back through and double check with your fret rocker, and obviously once it's under string tension and you're playing, you'll be able to tell if anything's uneven. You'll hear any buzz or anything like that. But once you've kissed it and you've checked it with your fret rocker, you know that everything's level and seating nice and snug against that fingerboard. And that's it. Nice and solid. It's pretty simple. It's a great tool. Love these things. They're great in a pinch. They're great in any situation where somebody doesn't want to do a dress and you just have the one treble fret. Like I said, you can use it anywhere on the fingerboard. If you have a lot of issues up past the 12, feel free to do your fall off dress. It's much easier. And keep in mind, if you do have buzzing issues everywhere and somebody says, well, I don't want to pay for a full fret dress, can you just address those few treble frets? Now, once you get up past like 4 or 5 frets and you're using the fret kisser, you're probably going to take a little bit more time than you would if you were to just do a full fret dress. So be sure you're charging accordingly as well, and let them know that sometimes it's just cheaper to do a full fret dress. But you got 1 or 2 problem frets, fret kisser, definitely the way to go. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.